Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Dawson. Today we're going to be going over a really awesome lending borrowing protocol on Cardano. Different from lending borrowing protocols we've covered before. So we've covered AADA Finance, we've covered Yamfore. And both of those, AADA seems more like a general lending. Yamfore is kind of specialized in the fact that it has like no interest, no loan, no liquidation, indefinite loan terms. And then now we're going to talk about Optim Finance, which to me at its initial stage with its liquidity bonds and stake pool operating bonds seems to be more like a small business like Cardano loan where you're taking just massive amounts of ADA through their protocol. With that being said, my name is Dawson. If you're new to the channel, on this channel we do a lot of currently Cardano project reviews. We just do really high macro level views of these projects, figure out just like the base details, give a general summary, and then provide some value where we can, just to help people get started. With that being said, a lot of this is just my opinion. I've been wrong before, I've been right before. At any moment in time, a lot of these new projects can change a roadmap, change something about the project that completely throws an analysis out the window and completely changes everything. Furthermore, as these prices changes, like as prices drop, things become more attractive. So you really just got to take what I say. And if you're watching a video 2, 3, 4 months down the road, it just might not apply. So you need to just take your current situation, your current risk, and do your own analysis and realize that, I can't invest for you. So you got to invest for yourself and make those decisions. Okay. Crypto is a lot of fun. Cardano is a lot of fun. And I really hope that we're all successful in the next bull run. They say it takes 2 to 3 bull runs to really change your life. So hopefully, in a couple years, we'll all be there, right? With that being said, let's just jump right into Optum Finance because it's really interesting. And I think they have a really cool niche specialization with this Cardano, like what I would call like a business type version of lending on Cardano. So the way that Optum Finance works in the very, very basic sense, just like all lending protocols is you have a borrower. So we have a borrower who wants to get ADA that they cannot afford, right? That's why I use lending and borrowing because you want stuff that you can't afford, right? It's like taking debt, it's like using credit cards, stuff like that, right? So you have a borrower and you have a lender willing to donate ADA in return for interest, okay? It's basic lending. Lending and borrowing that we talked about that, Ethereum projects do, Cardano projects do now. This is stuff we talked about. It's pretty simple. So somebody over here wants ADA, and all these people over here are willing to donate that ADA in return for interest on the ADA. The unique thing about Optum Finance is that the borrower over here is in control of that ADA, and say they want to do a liquidity bond to bootstrap a stake pool. Say like an example we can use is say I want to start a stake pool for my crypto YouTube channel. Okay. I want to start a stake pool and I need some ADA. Really, I need like 1 to 2 million ADA to have a great pool that can like attract investors and produce blocks and be efficient, stuff like that. In order to have that, I mean, I don't have personally 1 to 2 million ADA. So I would need to submit a bond saying that I want 1 million ADA and I'm willing to return 4% interest on that ADA to all the lenders that fill that bond. I would when I submit the bond, when borrowers submit a bond, they clarify some things like how much ADA they want, how much interest they're willing to pay, and where that ADA is going to get staked. So you have to select a stake pool, an SPO. So because it's non-custodial, I as a borrower don't ever get the ADA, but as lenders put it into the smart contract decentralized really knows where to stake the ADA because I've signified what stake pool I want it to go to, my own stake pool. Some other things to know as a borrower, in order to keep a bond healthy, you need to have a minimum of 1 month of interest payments within the bond for your lender. So say you borrow 1 million ADA and you want to pay 5% interest to your lenders, that would be, I think it's somewhere around 50,000 ADA per month, right? So in order to keep my bond healthy as a borrower, I would need to have 50,000 ADA within my smart contract, within my bond for the next month to pay my lenders. So you always have to have 1 month of payments inside of your bond in interest payments for your lenders to keep the loan healthy. If you don't have that, then the lenders will have the option to close out the bond from their side. Another scenario would be like if you're a borrower, say you want to start like a lending protocol, or say you want to start like an NFT project, or say you want to start a layer 2 solution on Cardano. All these solutions cost money, right? NFT projects that are really done well cost money. Cardano native projects cost money. These all cost money that, developers and stuff usually don't have, right? So say you want to start like a DEX or something like that, you need money. And so usually we see people go to outside investors or we see them use Project Catalyst. Optim Finance is another great solution for that. So say you want to start like an L2 solution on Cardano. Say you want to compete with like Orbis and Hydra and you want to start another L2 solution. So you as a company owner, right? The L2 product is a company, or like an NFT project is a company technically, right? If you take it seriously, say as your company, you want to borrow some ADA, say it's going to cost like 100,000 ADA to get a NFT project off the ground at the bare minimum, right? Let's just hypothetically say that. So say as an NFT project CEO owner, you realize that's going to cost 100,000 ADA and you don't really have 100,000 ADA, right? So you can submit a bond, say, hey, I want to take control of 100,000 ADA for my company, and we're going to stake it to this pool, and we're going to earn the staking rewards, and we're going to use that to fund the project, and we're willing to pay like 3% interest and stuff like that, and we're going to stake it to this pool. Then lenders would be able to pile in and earn that interest in order for you as a company to get access to more ADA to fund your project. Important things to note about a bond is that the borrower, when all those when all those when all the ADA is deposited into the smart contract and then deposited into a stake pool, the borrower gets to keep all the staking rewards. In the Discord for Optim Finance, I was asking then if say that you as a lender wanted to earn like for an ISPO, you wanted to earn like Genius X rewards or Ardana ISPO rewards or Meld rewards, any of those ISPOs that went on, say that this borrower is going to stake to one of those pools, they could not the Optim Finance team could not provide a definitive answer if the borrower would earn like the meld rewards or if the lender would earn the meld rewards, because it really depends on how the engineers behind that project releasing the ISPO code the staking mechanism. If they use stake key, I believe one of the developers of Optim Finance said that the lenders would get the ISPO rewards, but if they didn't, then the borrower would get the ISPO rewards. So that's just something to note. If you want to guarantee your ISPO rewards for a specific thing, you probably shouldn't use Optim Finance, or you should probably keep some ADA not locked up in a smart contract so you can have the ability to stake to an ISPO at that time. Now let's kind of attack things from the lender side. As a lender, things you need to be aware of with this project is when you submit, so the minimum time that I saw in Optimum Finance for a bond to be locked for was 3 months, 3-month bonds. The maximum time I saw was 1 year bond. So I don't know if it can go further than 1 year, but a 3-month to 1 year window of having your ADA locked has got to be in your mind as a lender. As a lender, you have to be aware that when you put this ADA into the bond, the smart contract, unless the borrower does not put the interest into the bond like they're supposed to keep the bond healthy, your ADA can be locked anywhere from 3 months to 12 months. Now it's still non-custodial, it's still decentralized. The borrower doesn't actually have your ADA, but the smart contract has your ADA. So you just have to realize that, if you're going to be a lender and put money into here, you won't have access to that ADA until the bond is closed. Now, let's say as a lender, I have an emergency, right? Let's say I deposit 10,000 ADA into a bond and I have an emergency and I need that ADA right now in my personal life, in the real world, not the crypto world, but I need just to turn that ADA into dollars and I need to get it back to the real world. How can I get my money out of that bond? The only way that you can do it is when you lend to a bond, you get an NFT receipt. In order to get out of the bond, you have to take your NFT receipt, go to a JPEG store or an NFT marketplace on Cardano and sell that NFT receipt to someone else who will then take over the bond and give you ADA for the bond. The caveat to this is that probably you will not be able to get the full ADA amount back because the person buying the bond from you on like JPEG store knows that you're in a pinch. They know that you need to get out of that bond. So they will probably not buy it unless you're willing to sell at, like a 5% discount of what the bond is worth. That then opens an opportunity to earn even more yield. Say that you're somebody who wants to earn like 5.5 or 6% on these bonds. Maybe instead of being a lender directly into Optim Finance, you can sit on JPEG Store and be like, hey, I'm just going to scoop up bonds that people need to get out of. So then they take a discount, they take a loss the people selling their bonds will take a loss, and you will earn even more percent technically than what the interest on the bond says. So there's an opportunity there as well. Another thing to know about these bonds is that as a borrower and lender, like working together as a team, is that the interest on these bonds will probably need to be like, if you want to be a lender, you need to realize that the interest on these bonds probably wouldn't touch any bonds that aren't above 4% interest, because you can earn 3.5 to 4% in a traditional Cardano stake pool. That's about average, 3.5%, 4%. So in order to have an attractive bond interest payment, I would look at anything 4% and above, 4.5, 5%. Those would be great numbers, and you would be technically earning more than you would via a stake pool. So these are just kind of like the high level overview of what Optim Finance is looking to do. This is only one part of the protocol though. So this is their liquidity bonds and like their stake pool operating bonds. They have other types of bonds coming called real world asset vaults. And what these are aiming to do is something about taking like an AADA bond and then using that money in the real world to like help with I think it's like charitable things, or like businesses in the real world, or like houses, like assets in the real world, stuff like that. But they have the same concept for not only just crypto to crypto versions, but a real world asset version to from Optim Finance to a real world asset version, where you can help like support companies in the real world, get land or assets or buildings in the real world, or donate to like charitable organizations, or provide funding in the real world. So that's another version of this, pretty interesting, but that's not being primarily rolled out just yet. They also have one other thing that's being rolled out after the liquidity bonds and the real world asset bonds, and that is strategy vaults. Strategy vaults, what I understood about them is that Optim Finance has they team up with other Cardano projects. So two examples that they give, they team up with Indigo Protocol and they team up with AADA. So a strategy vault is essentially providing higher yield opportunities to Optim Finance users by Optim Finance partnering with like AADA to then provide, higher bond yield versions of stable. Like somehow they have a way that they can make more returns by using their stable coins and Optim Finance together. Same thing applies with their Optim Finance and Indigo. They have a way to provide higher yield opportunities with IUSD, because of how they have like lending and borrowing on the platform. I'm not 100% sure. There's not a whole lot of details on it yet. I can try and find more as it comes out, but these are just more opportunities coming for the Optim Finance space in lending and borrowing, with Cardano partnering with these Cardano projects partnering up. So you have Ardana, you have Indigo partnering with Optim Finance, and they're just offering other opportunities to get yield, and where like retail users can just passively put their dollars or put their ADA into one of these strategy vaults, and then the strategy just takes care of itself, kind of like a market trading bot, or like an like a ETF of some sorts, right? So these are all the kind of great things that this project's going for. Now let's jump into some risks. What are some risks with a protocol like this? In my opinion, some risks would include all the decentralized lending risks that we currently know about. Okay, so we have smart contract exploitation, protocol hack, protocol security. I mean, even Optim Finance is open source, some of their code. Some of their code is not open source, it's like the competitive advantage thing. But even if a project's audited, like we saw with MinSwap, even if it's audited, they can still have critical issues. So things about Optim Finance is, as it's open sourcing more and more, hopefully we'll catch anything as a Cardano community. But you have to watch out for protocol hacks, smart contract hacks, exploitation, stuff like that. That's the bare minimum. Then you also have to look out. Some risks are that you need your ADA when you lent it and it's locked now. So then you have to take the whole process of selling that bond on the marketplace and losing even more money, right? You also have the idea, if like ADA hits a new all-time high and you're stuck in a lending protocol, you just can't get out of it, right? You can't get out just because you want out and you want to sell your ADA, right? You have to deliberately think, okay, I'm stuck in here for 3 to 12 months as a lender, and that's a risk I take. As a borrower, some risks you might have is that you need to be ready to pay the interest payments on your loan, right? It's like just like a normal business. If you don't pay loan interest, your credit in the real world just gets hammered. Okay. So decentralized, we don't really have credit, like credit scores, but if you don't pay that interest, you are just going to get wiped out of your loan. All the lenders are going to just liquidate it. You're going to be so down, like you're going to be in debt because you owe these people money, and then you're not going to be able to bootstrap your business. So that's just not a good thing either. Another thing to note as a risk is that as a borrower, if you're borrowing these large sums of ADA, in my opinion, you have to consider Optim Finance more as like a debt position for your company. So in the real world, if you want to start a company and you want to get a loan from like Chase, Wells Fargo, something like that, you understand, hey, I'm going to be in debt for 3 to 4 or 5 years, and then after that, I'm going to be in profit. It's going to be all profit, baby, right? So same thing is going to apply in the decentralized world. If you want to start a company, but you don't have the money to start that company, you're going to borrow ADA, and then you're going to pay, these borrowers are going to have to pay something like 4 to 5% interest to be attractive to lenders currently. So a number higher than they'll earn from their staking rewards. So technically, borrowers will go in the hole into a debt position by about 0.5% to 1% per month, in my opinion, because they're going to be earning about 3 to 4% from a stake pool, and then they're going to be paying out 3.5, 4.5, 5% to lenders. So they will be going negative, in my opinion, like in a debt position in order to fund a stake pool or fund a business that will then provide them profits down the line 12 to 24 to 36 months later. So that's just another thing to consider. In my opinion, I consider it kind of like a business debt position, which can be strategic, it can be good, but also needs to be handled like seriously, right? Like it needs to be a serious, thoughtful consideration. If you borrow 1 million ADA, you need to be ready for that. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money when ADA is at 30 cents, and it's going to be a whole lot more money when ADA is at $5. So these are some pros and cons, or well, like good things and risks about the protocol. I don't see anything bad about the protocol so far. They have documentation on their website, the teams online, there are discords like active, and you can ask questions. The developers answer. That's what they did with me. But yeah, really interesting protocol. It's not live yet, but I will be watching this. I might try to lend some money. I'm not going to be a borrower. I have no need to borrow 100,000, 1 million, 2 million ADA, unless maybe the channel gets popping and I start a stake pool. But I might try the lending with a little bit of ADA, maybe like just a tiny amount of ADA, because you don't have to donate all of the bond. You can be just a partial donor. But just really interesting concept to take note of in Cardano DeFi. I really think that Cardano DeFi is doing something special for 2023, and I think we will see the rewards of that in 2023, 2024, and 2025. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is just the tokenomics of the Optim Finance token. Currently, the token's not out on exchanges, and I will say I personally love that there's no token currently. There's no token, there's no market economics, there's none of this stuff to worry about and think about. And it's like I love when projects don't have tokens, because then you have people that are just using the project to use the project. Like imagine if I get Apple as stock, but like it just brings so much more drama into the mix. It brings so much more like tension and emotion and all of these things. And it's like, is my token going to go up, and is my token going up or down? It's like just the protocol is great. Like, can we just use the protocol, Like, let's just try the protocol first before we get into tokenomics and before we deal with how the market's up and down. Like, it's just, I love when projects don't have tokens because you don't have to worry about that stuff. Anyways, Optim Finance will have the OPT token. It's purely a governance token used for governance rights, all right? So that token will have a DAO, these are the tokenomics of it. DAO Treasury, 5%, public Treasury, 10%, sales 16%, public 40%, team and advisors 22%, market making 3%, and future hires 4%. So just perfectly normal tokenomics. I give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Nothing too special, but good things I would like to see. Their public and their sale add up to over 50%. Their team and advisors is about 20. It says 22%. Usually I like it to be 20% or less, but it's very close to 20%. So these are perfectly fine tokenomics, and it's just a governance token. I have no reason to want to buy this token, but I do think that Optim Finance is a great project to watch out for and possibly test it out. They have the pre-prod testing it out right now, where they have an ADA faucet, and they do need our help to kind of test things out and see how it's working. So if you want to do that, just jump to their Twitter, jump to their Discord, Optim Finance, and get on their app and test things out. It'll really help them a lot. There's not really much more I can say about this project. There's no price prediction. There's no No speculation, none of that stuff here in this video. I just want to say that I think this project has really good opportunity to provide some really good business ideas in Cardano, and I think I do like the idea that it's a higher capital ADA lending protocol, um, and I think that will help it to be more like taken more seriously, right? So it's just really interesting to see all these different versions of DeFi projects come out, and we'll just keep covering them as Optim Finance releases on mainnet. As it, has more developments, we'll do more videos. But I just think this is a project you should, take note of, take notice of, and just I think it's doing some really cool things. So props to the team, props to the community, props to everyone out there working on it, and props to the whole Cardano community. I think we're doing really well as a community right now, and I really hope the best for all of us. All right. So I'm going to close it out there. I hope everyone has today's Thursday for me. I hope everyone has a great Thursday, and we'll see you in the next one.